Welcome to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show. I'm Kevin Lawrence in studio with my dad, Dr. Gary Lawrence. We are a father and son team dedicated to helping you create your new financial future today. Dr. G and I believe there is a solution to your financial situation. So as you listen, we hope you'll be entertained, educated, and encouraged. So glad to be having you with us today. So, on this show, we do talk about wealth, creating wealth, and doing so with biblical principles first. And then second, with practical application in today's world. And Dr. G and I invite you to visit our website, wealthempowers.com. Check us out on iTunes. Just type in Wealth Empowers on iTunes. You'll find us there, Facebook, YouTube channel. We enjoy hearing from you, our listeners, and we enjoy meeting you, our listeners. And on this show, when we talk about wealth creating and doing so with those principles, understand that what we're doing is we're talking about not just money. We're talking about wealth in all areas of life. We're talking about wealth of relationships, wealth of resources, wealth of knowledge. Because, Dad, without a doubt, if people don't have the right knowledge and right understanding of their financial situation, well, they're just going to be stuck in the repetitive mode to keep doing what they know to do instead of learning something different so they can do something different.
Oh, I agree 100%, Kevin. And you know that old saying that repetition is the greatest teacher or the greatest torture.
Yes.
And you're talking about wealth comes in many different forms. And I think some of the wealthiest people, financially wealthy, are some of the most lonely people.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think there's a week that goes by that I don't talk to someone who's pretty well off financially. But when it comes to relationship, when it comes to knowledge, they live in absolute poverty.
Yeah.
And my heart goes out to them. And the reason you and I are on the radio Monday through Friday is to reach out to the Christian community to let people know that they can create wealth in their life, not just on a financial level, but a relationship level,
yes,
a knowledge level, and so on and so on and so on. There's many different ways to create wealth. And to help you and I convey the truth of that to our audience, we have live in the studio a very special guest. And, well, over the last 3 or 4 years, it's taken some time, but we've become good friends. And his name is Kevin Sparks. Comes to us all the way from Ahwatukee, Arizona. And he's a 50-year-old entrepreneur. And, Kevin's got quite a background when it comes to corporate management. He spent over 20 years in corporate management, but he says he was never satisfied with the status quo. He was always trying to find ways to produce more or create a better organization and results. And when the old traditional methods and the status quo didn't work, well, he knew he had to find newer, innovative methods that would work. But when he was clear back in his 20s, when he was just a young pup, he was given that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And between reading that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and meeting a couple, a husband and wife, who literally were in the $1 Million Club in one company, he realized that he had to take ownership of his own financial future. And that's what you and I are all about, helping people realize that working for the other man is not going to create the wealth that they desire. And today, one of his greatest joys comes from introducing others to a world of financial literacy and financial freedom. And with all that being said, Kevin Sparks, it's a joy to have you live in the studio with us.
Well, thanks for having me this morning. It's definitely great to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to share experience and hopefully inspire people that maybe are like myself, those people that just don't fit into that normal mold of the average worker out there, the one that knows somewhere in the back of their mind that it's supposed to be different than this, but maybe it takes them a long time to get there. It certainly took me a long time.
Yeah.
Well, when you say a long time, I have to disagree with you. You're only 50.
Well, I guess it's all relative, right?
Exactly. Well, keep in mind, I'm 74. Okay. But the good news is I heard this saying, Kevin, that 50 is the old age of our youth. But 50 is also the youth of our old age.
Perfect.
So you're just getting ready to get started, even though you've been through a lot in the last 30 years, huh?
I at least have half my life to go, right?
Yeah, there you go. That's for sure. Well, now, how long have you been in the Renatus community of real estate investors?
So I ended up in the Renatus community of real estate investors in September of 2015.
2015. So about 4 years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
something
little
like that.
little over 3 years.
Yeah. And what now I want to tell our audience, by the way, you're going to hear us talk about Renatus. And what is Renatus? Well, it's a Latin term for rebirth. And Renatus is the premier real estate investing education service in America. And I tell everybody, Kevin, it's second to none. Would you agree or disagree?
Oh, 100% agree. Been around the block a little bit. Definitely have seen a lot of the other programs that exist. And I will tell you that if you're looking to become a real estate investor, if you want to change your financial life, the key is the education, but also the key is the community built around that. It's the local support of people that actually have boots on the ground that are doing things and not just sitting in a seminar or something, but actually applying what it is that you learn. That's the key.
Oh, but don't you know if you attend this 3-day weekend seminar, you'll be able to make $90,000 in the next 90 days. That's what's heard on TV and radio, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the sales pitch essentially.
That's not realistic, would you say?
No, I mean, if you think about just what it takes to do something like a fix and flip deal, you're in that thing over 90 days anyway. And if it's your first one, let's be honest about it. It takes you a while. And normally, at least here in the Phoenix area, your first, deal is what we like to refer to it as. You're not likely to make that kind of money. You progress your way through the process of being a real estate investor, and you get more comfortable.
I like the way you said that. You progress your way through the process.
Right.
Well, now we've got two Kevins live in the studio, and we've got two.
So our listeners will be confused, Dad, because every time you say "so Kevin," and then we'll know who you're talking to.
I'll be sure to look at you. And then we got two bald-headed Kevins live in the studio.
Absolutely, that's the way to go, man.
Hey, bald's the new sexy, right?
That's it. That's it, man. Well, it's been said that out of all the heads that God made, He put hair on most of them, but the perfect ones He didn't give hair to.
Okay, all right. So let's move on. Give our audience a reason to keep listening to
Kevin, let's talk about this whole real estate thing. They, like we just mentioned and alluded to, they got the whole guru boot camps you hear about on the TV. Arizona's perfect for that because we're a second to none in resorts. They love the big hotels and the big show and everything. So they come here, flip your way to millions, all that kind of stuff. So going back before you ran into Renatus, what was it about Renatus that you said, hey, this is going to be a good path for me? Of all the things you could do, and then I'm going to wrap one other question there, and why real estate?
Okay.
So why Renatus and why real estate?
Maybe it should go the other way.
Okay.
And the reason
That's
I say
fine.
that, I wouldn't have found Renatus if I hadn't been interested in real estate.
Okay.
So, real estate, for me, it goes back to reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad in 96. Now, I became a full-time entrepreneur investor in 06, okay? So it took me 10 years from reading that book to get around to it.
It took you 10 years to get up, the courage or?
Pretty much. That's, I had formed an entrepreneur group that I started in 2003, so even having that group, we referred to it as a cash flow club. I was starting to surround myself with entrepreneurs and real estate investors local here in the Valley, and truthfully, I got an inside look at the guru programs, and here's what I mean by that. Normally, in that scenario, if 100 people spend, in our day and age, they're going to spend $30,000 to $60,000 on a boot camp, you're only going to have about 3 people at the end of 12 months that will have done a deal. So there's
okay, say that again. I want our audience. We're talking about the real estate guru.
The guru programs. You went to
weekend.
the hotel, you do the boot camp
Right.
thing, you spend $30,000 to $60,000, and you end up with about 3 out of 100
in 12 months.
in the next 12 months that will do a real estate investing deal. Now, because of that entrepreneur group that I had, some of those people, some of those 3% became part of it. It's just the way it worked because the numbers grew to a couple, 200-300 people. Then there's always going to be a percentage out there, especially they were entrepreneur and investor minded.
Right.
And I got to meet some of these people. So in matter of fact, some of them ended up being trainers and speakers and teachers for some of these guru programs.
Huh.
And first of all, the things that I learned about it was, besides the cost to do that, is it was not enough.
Right.
It wasn't that boot camp or whatever. It might have been their commitment because they put so much money into it. But every one of them, by the time they were making, it's all relative, but I was looking, most of the ones I saw were making in the $250,000 to $350,000 a year range after a few years. But every one of those people I spoke to, when I got to talk to them, I realized they ended up not spending $30 to $60 for boot camp. By the time they were earning $250,000, they'd spent over $100,000 on their education.
Wow.
Now, that's what gets paraded in front of everybody when these people come, when they show, results not typical, they put the person on the screen or they put them in the social media ad or whatever it is. But what I found out from these people as when I found out with, like, in comparison to Renatus, even these people said if I would have started with something like Renatus, I would be better off, further off, and I would have only had to spend anywhere from a half to, well, if you go 100,000, about a fifth to get completely educated on everything they needed to know. They had to piecemeal it, and they were lone rangers. They didn't have the support. It was just, it's not that they learned everything from it. It was just a tougher road without the help.
Kevin Sparks is our special guest, live in the studio with Kevin and I, and you're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show. And ladies and gentlemen, Kevin and I are hosting another Investor Business Forum this week right here in the Valley. And I want to extend to you my personal invitation to be our guest. And it's not going to cost you anything. And I tell everybody that comes to our business forum, leave your checkbooks and your credit cards at home. You're not going to buy anything. Well, why is that? We're not going to sell you anything. We're just going to, start doing our due diligence with each other and get acquainted. Kevin, I'd love to meet folks that listen.
Yeah, definitely. One of the highlights of our evening is to meet our listeners. Sure.
I had a gentleman that called me just yesterday that called me 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Well, we've heard, we had one couple come after 7 years.
7 years, yeah.
And I guess it just takes the right time. It's God's timing. That's what it's all about.
That's true.
So anyway, this Investor Business Forum is not a boring business meeting. It's an exciting event. You're going to learn about real estate investing as it is in Arizona today. You're going to meet some wonderful team members, men and women just like yourself, who said, you know what? I'm going to control my financial future. And we've heard it said the best way to predict the future is to create it. Mm-hmm. So if you would like to be my guest, all you have to do is call me. And when you call, you will get my voicemail. So for your sake, leave a message with your name and phone number, and I promise you I will return the call personally. Okay, here's my phone number. Write it down. It's 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. Or visit us on our web, Wealth Empowers. That's WEALTH. Empowers, EMPOWERS, wealthempowers.com. And so, Kevin, what you're saying is when you were introduced to Renatus, you saw a massive, massive difference between the whole educational system we have versus the real estate gurus that come to town for 2 or 3 days on the weekend and leave Monday morning with your money, but at least you've got an 800 phone number, right?
Yeah, I mean, think about this for a moment. When you've learned, for anybody who's listening to us right now, let's put a little logic to this, all right? Because what happens in this world of wealth building, real estate, there's a lot of seminars and things out there related to real estate or whatever that are hypey. But when if you attend something like that, I don't actually necessarily discourage it, because a lot of times I tell people, go do it and compare us, you'll come right back.
Exactly.
So
that's good.
That's not a problem.
Yeah.
What you will find, though, is this. We don't learn in spurts of 4 to 5 days for 12 hours a day.
Right.
We will forget what we learned. We'll be overwhelmed. We won't have the support. When we've learned how to be successful at anything we're good at, I don't care if it's our hobby, I don't care if it's an instrument or a sport or our career, we did not learn it in 4 to 5 days by sitting down for 12 hours listening to somebody fill our head with stuff. We learned it a day at a time. And the beautiful thing about the community surrounding Renatus here in the Valley that you're talking about, that they'll get introduced to at your Investor Business Forum, is you have weekly interaction for maybe an hour, 2 or 3 at a time with people that are doing exactly what it is that you want to do. If you get to do that over a period of 2, 3, 4, or 5 months, not only is your belief going to go sky high, but you're going to see things happening around you where the person who could literally be your neighbor or somebody that was a coworker or whatever, somebody that you can relate to, has changed their life through real estate investing. Now your belief in what's going on goes sky high. Your fear goes down. When the fear goes down, you take action. When you take action, you get results. Mm-hmm. And the more you do that, once you've done 1, 2, or 3 of your first transactions as a real estate investor, you're hooked for life. You know it works.
And I'm sitting here listening to Kevin Sparks, Kevin Lawrence.
Uh-huh.
And we're talking about being real estate investors just like we breathe air.
Right.
It's just something we do.
Yes.
But to the average person listening to us, for them to get out of their safe, secure job mindset and even start thinking about the possibilities of becoming a real estate investor, do you think it even sounds real to them, Kevin?
Well, no, it doesn't, because much like Kevin Sparks, I also read Rich Dad Poor Dad, but it was around 98. So I was about 2 years behind you, Kev. So about 1998, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I jumped off the couch in the last page of the book and went, I'm going to be a real estate investor. That's the way. That's the light at the end of this financial tunnel.
So you went to Las Vegas.
Yeah, and I spent a lot of money and several days in Las Vegas, doing the whole guru thing, and I got nothing. But the desire, because what was in that book and the concepts and the ideas stayed in me, but I didn't know how to take action on it. And what I find interesting is people always say, real estate is risky. Real estate investing is risky. And one of our instructors, though, he pointed this out to me, is Chris Wilson. And he says, yeah, real estate's risky, but you notice everyone has a place to live.
That's true.
We're all living somewhere. So wherever you're living, somebody owns that building, that house, that duplex, or wherever you're living, someone owns it. Wherever you have an office, wherever you go to work, someone's owning that building. So real estate is risky, yet people own it and buy it and sell it on a regular basis. So what I like to say is this: it's not that real estate is risky. It's being uneducated as you move into real estate investing. That's what's risky. I mean, is anything foolproof? No. Is there always going to be some level of risk in real estate? Absolutely. But there's risk getting in your car driving to work every day too. So we always do the risk assessment and do our best to minimize it. And the best way to minimize risk in real estate investing, proper education, being around people of like mind, being around a community, like you said, Kevin, and those elements are embedded into Renatus. It's just the core of who we are as a community nationwide, and that's what sets people on a path to success. So much like Kevin said, you do a couple of deals, you kind of get hooked on it. You're like, hey man, this is pretty cool, and you can make some money, and you can work differently. That's the thing about how do you work? Are you going to work every day and you're not happy with it, and you got 1 or 2 people in the office that you're okay with, but you got 3 or 4 that you don't care for, and you got to put up with that coworker, you know what I mean? And you do that for 8 in the morning till 5, 6 at night, and then you go back home and you have 2 hours, 3 hours with your kids maybe, if they're not at a sporting event or doing something else, and then you go to bed 9:30, 10, 11, and then you get back up and you do it all over again, and you're kind of on that treadmill, right? I don't like working that way, man. I'm depressing myself talking about it.
Well, I was going to say, do you guys ever get up at 6:30 in the morning and watch the morning news on Channel 3 or Channel 12?
To be honest with you, Gary, today for your radio show, this is the earliest I tend to get up for anything. That's part of why I wanted to be a real estate investor.
The reason I'm asking
exactly.
My heart goes out to the, I'm just going to say general population throughout the valley, because people that live way out in the west part of the valley, they have to take I-10 east, and people that live in the north part of the valley have to take the 101 south, and it's a parking lot every day of the week, and people literally spend hours in their car going back and forth to and from that job. And they don't get paid for their time while they're sitting in that car,
And they got to work half a day, just get a half day's wage before they can start keeping the money they work. Half of that day goes towards taxes and paying their bills.
I know.
They don't get to keep that stuff. The other half of the day, maybe they start putting some money in their pocket. There had to be a better way, and real estate is the better way, in my view.
And one day, Kevin Sparks, you woke up and you said, you know what? I'm not working for the other man anymore.
You know what? That essentially is what it was. I wanted to do it for a long time, and finally it's like, am I going to do this or not? When would now be the right time to get it done?
Yeah. Did it scare you?
It did. It absolutely terrified my wife a little more than me. I'm the riskier side of the family, but it was, you know what it was? It was really weird, but talking from a spiritual aspect, when I explained to my wife that this was something I wanted to do, I'd wanted to do and tried other things in the past that weren't successful for me. And I brought this one up. And when I brought this one up and said, this is what I want to do, be a real estate investor, she said, I think you should. That scared the poo-poo out of me.
Wow.
Because now I had no excuses.
Right, yeah.
Now I had to do it because I
blame
couldn't
your wife.
complain that she didn't support me, and that's why I didn't succeed.
Yeah.
Well, and I just found out about a year ago that my wife, Sylvia, was praying, dear God, don't let Gary get involved in real estate. So, hey, you're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, and Kevin Sparks from Ahwatukee, Arizona is our special guest live in the studio. And Kevin, tell our audience about our business forum.
So this week, Dr. G and I are hosting a business forum. And of course, you're always invited, but this is an invite only. So in order to get your seat reserved, you got to call. I'm going to give you the number in a minute. When you call, just speak clearly, leave your name and phone number. We'll get back to you right away. Dr. G or I will return your call personally. The number is 602-730-5645. That number again is 602-730-5645. Check us out online. Go to our website, wealthempowers.com. Hey, drop us a note. Send us a quick email. We would love to get acquainted with you. But here's the thing. You're not buying anything. Leave all forms of payment at home. We just want to get acquainted with you to see, is this really the path for you? And to see if we're the kind of people you want to hang out and work with. So, yeah, definitely give us a call and reach out.
Kevin, you've got a team here in the Valley. You're working with Zach Ullman.
Yes.
And we have a team up in Scottsdale, and we've become good friends over the years. Now, would you take 1 minute, because I'm just almost out of time, tell our audience why they should call Dr. G and come to our business forum?
The number one reason is if you don't get around to doing it, if you don't make the call, if you don't attend a business forum, what you're doing today is probably what you're going to be doing tomorrow.
That's scary.
It is. I mean, listen, the traffic and everything, just don't want it anymore. Make that phone call. Take a look. There's no obligation. If it's a good fit for you, this might be the year that financially everything becomes different for you.
And so what you're saying is at least explore what the possibilities and the probabilities are.
There's no cost to exploration in doing that, and it might change your life for the future for the better.
Kevin Sparks, I appreciate you being live in the studio with us today. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I say it like this: change when left to chance gives birth to more conflict. And if you don't change, things will never change. So I'll guarantee you this, there's only one thing that will never change, and that's the fact that things will change. So what's the bottom line? Either you make the change or the change is going to make you. I encourage everyone, stop being a circumstantial creator and become an intentional creator. If you want something to change, you've got to decide you're going to make the change. That's the bottom line. Success is not a destination. It's nothing more than a journey. So I want to ask you this. Are you enjoying the journey, or are you just suffering through the journey? You know, friends, you can create a level of life that you can actually enjoy getting up every day. You can succeed. All that's given to anyone is given to you. God hasn't blessed someone else more than he's blessing you. Now listen carefully. Success is never final, but failure is never fatal. No one's ever died from failing. The bottom line is the only way to success is you have to make a few failures along the way. Everyone does. And investment in knowledge will pay you the best return on your investment. You are full of the power of success. Now, why do I say this with such strong conviction? Well, it's real simple. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. Hey, I'm Dr. G, and I want you to create success. Why not start today? We have in the studio live a gentleman that's made it happen for he and his wife, Kirsten. Kevin Sparks, 50-year-old entrepreneur, comes to us all the way from Ahwatukee, Arizona.
Where's that?
What is an Ahwatukee?
Yeah. But anyway, after more than 20 years in corporate management with Walmart and I think Home Depot, he decided he's going to, strike out on his own. He's going to stop working for the other man. And he shared with our audience yesterday that he told his wife he wanted to learn how to become a real estate investor. And I don't know, I'm going to ask him in a minute, I don't know if he was expecting her to say, no, you're not, you're going to keep your job. But she said, okay, whatever you want to do, honey. And so anyway, he's just a fantastic fellow. And I just want to say, Kevin Sparks, welcome to the Dr. G and Kevin Show.
Well, thank you for having me back and being able to converse with you and share a little bit more. And talking about that and with my wife, it was poo-poo, because I wasn't going to get the excuse this time if I would tried to take it on and didn't follow through.
So you weren't going to be that fellow that says, I'd like to do it, but my wife won't let me.
Not this time.
Yeah.
Right. So what were some of the things, Kevin, for a person to leave their job? And I will say it's kind of ironic in Renatus that we applaud when people say, I quit my job. All right, good for you. It's weird. But so just kind of share with our listeners briefly, what were the couple of things that you finally took that big, deep breath and you went, all right, I'm out. I'm doing it. And here's the line in the sand.
For me, I like basketball. Not that I'm play it or I'm good at it. I like the NBA. And I know that the income that I make currently, even as an investor from Renatus, isn't at that level yet. But I'm watching people do what they love, getting paid a heck of a lot more money. I don't necessarily have those skills, but I started asking myself the question, which is, what can I do, to live the life that I want to live? And I realized that I'm just not ever going to get there trying to climb this corporate ladder thing. And my personality didn't work with it anyway, because I would create something or innovate something and I'd get applauded by some of management, and other management would be like, oh, that's not how we do things. And they'd go on to tear it apart. I'm like, hey, our production went up, the profits went up. We've had less what we refer to as shrink. Things happened, and I get a little recognition for it, but it didn't change my life.
So what I hear you say there, you were actually a genuine entrepreneur being smothered to death in the cocoon of a job.
That, yeah, absolutely, Gary.
Is that a good word picture?
Yeah, that's a very good word picture.
Because you were a threat. You were an intimidation to those who said, well, that's not the way we do it here.
Right.
So you couldn't be creative.
No, or occasionally somebody would appreciate it, right? But then they would change managers or upper management. So the person that enjoyed me was moved to a different division or something. They gave me somebody new who didn't like it. So it just got to be a yo-yo thing of, okay, appreciation, not appreciated. So part of it was the appreciation, but the other part is, heck, wasn't going to be able to retire or live a life the way I wanted to. And yeah, I guess my spirit was entrepreneur from day one.
Right.
Yeah. So, and a lot of people are listening and identify with that. They get that recognition. They get the credit for their work. They get the appreciation. But over time, look, at the end of the day, that's nice. But yeah, I want to spend time with my family. I don't want other people dictating my schedule to me. When can I choose to come and go when I want? And it takes a lot to finally make that step. So you did that.
Yeah, and you can't eat a plaque or a watch.
That is so true. So you finally made the decision to go full-time. You said, I'm going to enroll with Renatus, and I'm going to do this real estate investing thing full-time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a little bit scary. One of the benefits of Renatus is by building that community together, they're also willing to compensate you for that. So while I was learning my first 16 to 18 months, I was involved in 7 transactions. Mm-hmm. Not huge, but heck, I know real estate agents that don't sell that many houses
in a year.
So, that was all right.
Yeah.
But Renatus also offered the opportunity, said, look, if there's other entrepreneur-minded people like you or that would like to be, and they decide that they want to be part of the community, you help us build that, we'll pay you referrals for that. And in the process of doing both things, real estate and referrals, I ended up making more money in my first 8 months that my job would have taken. Well, you take about 60, 70,000, divide that into 400, and you tell me how long it would take me to earn that.
5 years.
Yeah. So in 8 months, what I was earning in 5 years.
Yeah.
And that's almost unbelievable. People hear you say that, and if I had not experienced Renatus and walked down the streets with you, with our communities, I wouldn't believe it either. It's just we are the only real estate investing education service in America that pays its students to earn while they learn.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. I'll guarantee you go to the University of Arizona, they're not going to pay you to refer students there.
Nope.
You go to the University of Phoenix, they're not going to pay you to refer students there. But I think I'm going to come back in a minute. One of the greatest highlights we have to offer people as they get involved with our real estate investing education system is we have lifetime access. This is not a one-shot game here. And so let's come back and talk about that after I go to the audience, okay?
Sounds good.
I want to get your input on that. Hey, you listen to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, and Kevin Sparks is our special guest. And, hey, ladies and gentlemen, we are hosting another investor business forum right here in the Valley. Actually, it's in North Scottsdale. And it's about an hour-and-a-half long event. It's not a boring business meeting. You're going to really enjoy yourself. We just have a lot of wonderful people in our local team and community of real estate investors. You're going to learn about real estate investing as it is in Arizona. And, just yesterday I was talking to a man, and he said he and his wife have been listening to us on the radio, Kevin, and he looked at his wife and says, there's got to be something more than what I'm doing now. And so he's decided to come to our business forum.
That's fantastic. I'm looking forward to meeting him. Yeah.
And there is something
there
more
definitely
that you can
is.
do beyond the job you've got.
And you wouldn't be on the radio for 10 years if there wasn't. Sometimes people go, I've been listening for a while. Well, how long till you finally realize, well, if we've been doing this for a decade, maybe there's something to it.
When I hear that, Kevin, I think of people say, yeah, we've been engaged now for 12 years.
Oh, gosh. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead with the phone number.
That's all right. Hey, we would love to meet you folks. To make it happen, all you have to do is call. And I'm going to give you my phone number in just 1 minute. But I want you to know when you call, you will get our voicemail. So for your sake, leave a message with your name and your phone number, and I promise you, I will return the call personally. Okay, are you ready? Write down my phone number. It's 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. Or, hey, visit us on our website, wealthempowers.com. That's wealth, W-E-A-L-T-H, empowers, E-M-P-O-W-E-R-S. wealthempowers.com. Kevin Sparks is our guest. Kevin, we have a special feature in our educational system. It's called Lifetime Access. What do you think of that?
Amazing. Totally amazing. Real estate investing is a game of markets. It's a game of timing. Mm-hmm. You've got to play the game right. And a lot of times when people go to try and learn on their own, they want to go to YouTube University, right? Or Google everything. Okay, yeah. Fine. But is it up to date? Does it match the market? Does it work in your backyard? And what Renatus is phenomenal about is their commitment to keep everything up to date. Their commitment to make sure that what they're sharing with you and teaching you today works today. It's not what used to work yesterday.
So we've got 48. No, that's just in our AIT. So we've got like 58 classes that are all 6 to 8 hour classes.
Right.
And our instructors are practicing instructors, men and women who are wealthy. They've walked the road. They understand the discipline in which they're teaching. Okay. And this is lifetime education. It's 24/7 on demand. You can stream it when you enroll and become a student. Okay. All that's available to you, right? And like you said, it's not Google University. So we're not reading articles and listening to opinions of what people think about the market. We're listening and learning from men and women who apply strategies and get results. So with all of those classes, 58 classes, Kevin, that's a lot of content. It's over 400 hours of content, not just real estate investing, but money and finance and banking and taxes. Share with us, what are a couple of 1 or 2, 3 classes that really stood out to you or made an impact to you?
I'm going to share one with you that as a real estate investor, initially I didn't know that it was going to be a class that I'd really enjoy. But it's actually the tax and legal. And the reason I bring that up is it is probably the thing when you become part of the community that will immediately impact your finances. Mm-hmm. It'll immediately get you paying less in tax. It'll immediately get you thinking like a business owner. It will immediately get you write-offs. I've got a gentleman that I actually shared this with, came on board to the team, and he found out that he literally, that you could write. Now, you got to talk to your professional, right? But right now, the way the tax laws work with your children, you could potentially write off up to $12,000 per year per child under the age of 18. Now, again, talk to your legal professional. But this person came to me and he said, Kevin, I'm a finance manager at a Cadillac dealership. Last 3 years, I made over $150,000. I have 5 kids under the age of 18.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying he wrote off $60,000 immediately. What I'm saying is the potential, depending on their age and what he could have them doing his work for his company, he could write off up to $60,000, which would have effectively taken a $150,000 income down to $90,000. Do you imagine what that did just to his tax situation?
Yeah, and that's a little known fact. I mean, people don't realize the benefits of the tax system, So anyway, Kevin, you're doing that right now with your kids.
Oh yeah, exactly. I've got 2 at home. I'm still raising, and prior to the tax law, because the tax law changed here just a year or so ago, and so our tax and legal instructor went in and re-recorded the class, brought us up to date.
He's about to do it again.
Yeah, because every year they change the laws, but that tax credit you're talking about, Kevin, it went from $6,000 to $12,000. It was increased by the IRS. Now, again, we're not financial advisors. I appreciate you saying that. This is potential. You got to talk to your professional, but if it's set up the right way, and here's what's amazing though, what's blows my mind is, prior to me getting involved in Renatus, I spent 6.5 years in the insurance industry. So I was straight 1099. Yeah. I was building an insurance book of business on a straight commission income for 6.5 years. I did well at it. But in that time frame, I did not have one CPA, not one tax accountant, not one professional tell me, by the way, did you know you could write up to $6,000 off on your kids every year? And this isn't the earned child income credit, That's just because you have kids. This is something different that if you set it up right in your business, you could take those deductions. And I thought, wow, thanks for not telling me, because I didn't know what I didn't know. And all this time I'm spending money on my children anyway. That could have been deducted from my income. Who knew?
When you were sharing that story, you sounded just a little bit frustrated. When you found out the truth, did it kind of upset you that they kept you in the dark so long?
Yeah, I mean, it was exciting because you realize, you go, oh, how exciting, I can do something. And then you go, why didn't anyone tell me? And it's information that I could have used yesterday. And this is my own personal frustration with a lot of tax people, is they never answer questions that you don't ask. Like, they only answer the one question you ask, and they don't divulge more information. So being able to be taught from one of the top CPAs and real estate attorneys in the country, who's a best-selling author, have 16 hours with Mark Kohler to break down how this could be potential for you. And I'll tell you what, give me just another second here, guys, because the reason I'm passionate about this is not just my kids, but what happens is this. People watch the fix and flip shows on TV, and they get enamored by, hey, I'm going to flip a house and make $30,000 in 30 minutes, that kind of thing. And we've already talked about the gurus yesterday. But when we talk about wealth and powers of creating wealth, we're talking about creating systems, right? So you can flip a house and make 20, 30 grand, but then what are you going to do with the money? Right. And how do you avoid paying more tax to the federal government, not city, state, local? That's different. We're talking federal income tax. How do you minimize that, and how do you maximize your profit? See, so it's not just about finding a house and flipping it. It's about building a business structure to maximize the profits that come into your business.
That's well said. We're listening very intently, aren't we?
We are. The other class, to just throw another one out there, that most people, or a lot of people, I shouldn't necessarily most, but quite a few, is how to utilize your retirement account to quit getting single-digit dorky returns.
Return. Yeah.
And to not be putting your money in a savings account where you're getting less than 1% interest. If it starts with a point, it's pointless.
Right. Yeah.
Like what our friend, John says. So it's one of those things where people don't realize that you could take your retirement account once you're educated how to do it, and you could use it to invest in not only real estate, but actually anything that the law allows, which is nearly everything. I mean, you can't put into booze because you can't drink your investment away, and there's some other things. But you can invest in a lot more things than your financial planner gives you access to.
I saw an advertisement on TV, some company that's selling IRAs. We are the highest return in the nation, 1.8% return on your money.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, I had just raised $385,000 from two investors, part of our community, and I was at the bank. We all met at the bank, and I was depositing that money in my LLC account. And this little girl behind the window, she's the teller, she says, well, Dr. Lawrence, with this amount of money, you should open up a savings account. And I said, well, I appreciate that suggestion. What's the interest that you're paying now? And her face literally lit up. A big smile. She says, oh, we're paying 0.25%. That's a quarter of 1%. Yeah. And I just looked at her, and I'm telling you, Kevin, it was all I could do to keep from laughing. But I said, no, thanks a lot. I'll just keep investing in properties, Hey, you listen to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, and Kevin Sparks from Albuquerque, Arizona is our special guest. And Kevin Lawrence and I, we're hosting another Investor Business Forum this week right here in the Valley. And ladies and gentlemen, this is your opportunity to open up the doors to what your possibilities are and what your probabilities can become. Do you really want to change your financial future? Are you at the place where you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired? Well, come and meet Kevin and I. Give us an opportunity to get acquainted with you. And you need the opportunity to get acquainted with us. Mm-hmm. And I tell everybody, if you come to our business forum, leave your checkbook and credit cards at home. We're not going to sell you anything. But what we are going to do, we're going to help you learn what you don't know. We're going to help you gain the information you need to make an intelligent decision about, are you going to stay where you are financially, or are you going to move forward financially and take ownership of your own future? Well, if you want to be my guest, you're going to have to call me. So I'm going to give you my phone number right now. So write it down. It's 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. Or visit us at our website, wealthempowers.com. That's wealth, W-E-A-L-T-H, empowers, E-M-P-O-W-E-R-S, wealthempowers.com. Kevin, we have about 2.5 minutes left. What would you say to our audience to get them motivated just to make a decision to call us and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to take some time out of making a living to learn how to make a life?
The number one thing that I can think of right now that comes to my mind is this: are you living the life you want to live financially? If you aren't, wouldn't it be worth 2 hours to meet with Gary and Kevin and their team, get to know them, ask them questions, go ahead, be skeptical, okay? Come however you feel. That's fine. Bring a healthy skepticism with you and force us to prove it. Force us to prove it. Ask us to prove it. We will show you that what we're doing is real. We do it right here in the Phoenix area, right here in our backyard, and you will meet people from all different walks of life, all different ages, all different races, even all different religions, have come together and said, enough is enough. I want my life financially to be different. And those that are already succeeding are willing to help the next generation succeed. And I don't mean generation in age. I mean generation in entrepreneurship. So let us prove it to you. Let's go see some of the properties. Let's show you what we do.
Well, you know, there's an old saying, people don't fail in life because they want too much. They fail in life because they settle for too little. And, you know, Kevin, it just amazes me how many Christian people have this unbelievable negative mindset about creating wealth. It's almost as if being wealthy is a sin. And the sad fact is there's a lot of people that are very wealthy and, well, they're not the best of people. But why should that keep us from enjoying a life of true financial freedom?
Oh, here's the thing. The saying goes like this, you know, those who don't learn from their mistakes are destined to repeat it, right? You've heard that. If you don't learn from the past, then you repeat the past. So my question today, friend, is what have you learned in your past about your financial behaviors? See, your behaviors reflect your mindset. So have you looked at your financial mindset of the past? In other words, you're only going to behave to the extent that you think, right? So have you examined how you think about money? Have you examined how you define success? Have you reflected on how you behave around money? So when you reflect on the past and you challenge your mindset in the present, then you're going to set yourself up for success in the future. And Dad, it's so important to be able to make sure that we're focusing on today to create a better tomorrow.
Well, yeah, and the sad fact is, Kevin, so many people are so stuck in the past with the problems and failures they've gone through that they're never able to emotionally get into the present. Mm-hmm. And if you're not in the present and all you do is looking back, you're never going to be able to look forward and create the future. That's the bottom line. And I remember when your mother and I went through bankruptcy and foreclosure back in 2009, I was 64, almost 65. I went through several years, I call it my valley of inertia. 40 years of service to the Lord, and now I'm broke. What's this all about? And I just kind of knocked the wind out of me emotionally. And then one day I woke up and I thought, you know what? I'm going to stop living in the past. Okay? And one of the things that was holding me back is the fact that I had been so successful. But now, all of a sudden, I was no longer the Dr. Gary Lawrence, the Christian counselor on the radio. Mm-hmm. And sometimes people look in the past and they say, well, I was successful with that, but I don't think I can be successful again. Mm-hmm. And so I appreciate your introduction. The bottom line is people do what they want to, nothing more, nothing less.
Well, you bring out a point that, your success holds you back. And people go, well, fear of failure holds me back, or lack of confidence, or so on. And those might be true. But a lot of times people get stuck in the past of their own success, and they can't get out of it to learn something new.
Right, absolutely. And to help you and I convey the truth of what we're saying to our audience, we have live in the studio, once again, Mr. Kevin Sparks, a 50-year-old entrepreneur from Albuquerque, Arizona, and just an awesome fellow. And he's all about serving others. He's all about helping others learn how to gain their financial freedom. And after almost 25 years in corporate management, he decided he's going to learn how to become a successful real estate investor. And he was in for the shock of his life when he told his wife that, and Kirsten said, okay, go ahead and do it. That is hilarious. That kind of shocked you, didn't it, Kevin?
It did. I mean, I think a lot of people out there, when you're not satisfied with your income, you're not satisfied with your lifestyle, from time to time, you might try and put your toe in the water with this, that, or the other thing, right? And, there's a process of change that we go through, and, we don't know necessarily how long that process is going to take. We know how long we'd like it to take, which is like instant. But God kind of directs our path and shows us some things, and then eventually he says, now's the time to take the leap. And that's exactly what we had to do. And when my wife was willing to do that, and she felt it was an inspired decision, and I did too, but it still didn't change the fact that it scared the pants off me for at least a moment.
Right.
Yeah, no doubt.
And what is the definition of courage? The strength to act in spite of the fear, something like that. But anyway, the last couple of days, Kevin Lawrence, Kevin Sparks, we've talked about Renatus, the premier real estate investing education service in America. We've talked about the fact that we have, I think, 58 classes that are 7 to 8 hour videos. Everything's streamed live. We've got, I think 29 practicing real estate investors as our instructors. We talked about having lifetime access, but and all the benefits of really getting focused in a genuine, solid method of becoming a real estate investor. But what we haven't talked about is the community aspect of our Renatus life. Mm-hmm. And so going with the word community, how would you describe our community nationwide or right here in Arizona?
I would describe it as people of a like mind. So I always refer when I talk to people, especially when we do a property tour, that's one of my favorite things to do is bring people to an actual project that somebody in the community is, or multiple people have partnered up on in the community as a real estate investment transaction deal to make money. And I always say, hey, look, we're a group of advanced, intermediate, and beginning investors. And what we do is we teach, train, and support each other in reaching our investing and our financial goals. So the reason we come together is money. The reason we stay together is we become family. You know, the friends and family thing. Right. We really do. And because of that, there's peer pressure. There's positive peer pressure. We don't want to see people fail. We want to see people take action. So there's a little bit of kicking in the pants and things that go on, a little bit of ribbing, a little bit of, handhold, whatever it is that a person needs. Nobody ever fails within the community that plugs in and actually takes the action and follows through. Occasionally somebody might take a little longer than another person, but because you have lifetime access and we're here every week we're here. We're available, we're accessible, and everything else. You take however long you need to take to get the job done. Just keep coming. And as people see you participate, they're going to want to help you even more. Some people take off like rocket ships, and some people take off a little bit more like, the little engine who could that's got a big load. Sometimes you got to drop a car or two, which is your old, mental baggage.
Sure.
But once you drop a car or two, now you can speed it up a little bit. But we're here to help you. And some people refer to the community as, we're a personal development community hidden in the package of real estate investing.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much personal growth that goes on because you have to. It's about becoming the person you need to be that successful entrepreneur and that successful real estate investor. It literally is a metamorphosis process, and you transform into it over time. And you have to have the support of the community when you're in a growth process. So I like the way you described that. Kevin, everyone's on their different track, and it's not a sprint. This is a marathon. No one's arriving late. You arrive on your time because, my trajectory is different than yours, Kevin, and which is different than Dr. G's and everyone's play. But it's the consistency of it. Here locally, we have our communities, but we also have a nationwide presence. We have live events happening in over 22 cities across the country every single week. And all three of us sitting in the studio have names and phone numbers of men and women who are very wealthy, very successful in real estate, and we can just call them up. Hey, have a question for you. What's going on in the market here? And they'll take our calls. Well, I don't know if they'll take Dr. G's call, but no, I'm just kidding. But they take our calls and we communicate. And it just seems like in our community, there's not this arrogance and this hierarchy of I'm better than.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Kevin, I agree 100%. I tell everybody since I've been with Renatus, and this is my 8th year, I've not met one company leader from Bob Snyder on down. Bob Snyder's our CEO and founder. I've not met one instructor, and we've got over 29 of them, 28, 29, that has a attitude of pridefulness or haughtiness. They all have a genuine spirit and attitude of gratitude. What can I do to serve you? And we call that servant leadership.
Absolutely.
I tell you, I love being part of this community. And we share that with our team members. It all filters down from the top to the bottom.
Well, Bob Snyder is our CEO and founder. He started Renatus, very wealthy man, very kind individual. He has started numerous businesses, been very successful in the past. And Dad, you had a conversation with Bob one time, and I want you to share it with our listeners. And you said, Bob, you've been successful, and you have plenty of finance. You're financially secure, so you could continue living your life, raise your grandkids, or enjoy being with your grandkids, right, and watch your adult children grow. And why would you want to start another company, build again from the ground up, get employees out there, get another product and service out in the marketplace, do the competing? Why go through all that if you don't have to? Share about that with our listeners.
Okay, well, the bottom line is he just said, well, Dr. G, he said, that's my purpose in life is to serve others. And my service has got to reach more than just my family, my grandchildren. And he's generally all about serving others. And the bottom line here, again, that's a different level of wealth.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, he's got all the money he needs. He will never want again the rest of his life. But he has shared a vision and a dream with us that has changed literally the lives of thousands of people nationwide. Mm-hmm. And that's what Renatus is all about. Well, Renatus is a Latin term for rebirth. Mm-hmm. Okay, and most people need to be rebirthed financially. And folks, I've got a news flash for you. The recession's not over yet. I mean, there's a lot of things going on nationwide with our economy. Okay, that's all I'm going to say on that. I see you guys laughing, but there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
I'm
sorry. Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, and we've got Kevin Sparks live in the studio as our guest today. And Kevin, tell our audience about our business forum we're hosting this week.
So our business forum is coming up, and this is an invitation-only event, so we're inviting you. Now, the way that you get your seat secured and the way you can meet Dr. G and I is first you got to call. I'm going to give you the number in just a minute. When you call, please speak clearly, leave your name and obviously your phone number. We'll get back to you right away. And we will call you directly personally. You're not going to get a call from an assistant or a robocall or anything like that. It's direct from Dr. G or myself. And the number you're going to call is 602-730-5645. That number again is 602-730-5645. Now, you can reserve a seat for you if you want to bring a friend, family member, trusted colleague. We can reserve a seat for them as well if you want a couple of eyes on that. That way you feel comfortable, and as you walk into our community, you know that you're not all by yourself. Now, here's something else you can do. You can go to wealthempowers.com. That's our website, Wealth Empowers, 2 words together, WEALTH. EMPOWERS, wealthempowers.com. Feel free to drop us a line there. You can send us a quick email. You'll also find us on Facebook, Wealth Empowers. We've got our YouTube channel, iTunes. The bottom line is you're invited to get connected with us. And Dad, we love meeting our listeners week in and week out, don't we?
Yeah, we sure do. Well, Kevin, I would like to spend the last few minutes of today's program talking about those who have failed. You know, there's a lot of people that say, well, Dr. G, you just don't understand. I've tried several things and they have failed. So I want to put it on the record. Kevin Sparks, have you ever failed?
I still do.
Still do. Yeah. How about you, Kevin Lawrence?
Only once or twice.
Well, and bottom line is failing is part of life. You show me someone that says, well, I've never failed. I've never had a problem. I'll show you someone that's smoking something really strong. That's the bottom line.
Well, and recently I've seen this thing floating around online, you either win or you learn, but there is no lose.
That's right.
But I don't know about that. I'm like, I don't know, man. I've lost. Just because you have a failing in life or you lose doesn't mean you learn from it. Let's get clear. We don't always learn from it. So let's not, cherry coat this or sugarcoat or whatever you call it. Look, you lost, you smacked your face, you got smacked in the mouth, you lost the money, you lost the job, you lost the relationship, you made decisions that caused the failure. Okay, it happens to all of us. But you know what? Did you learn from it? Isn't that what's important, Dad, is that you learn from where you failed?
Yeah, if you've learned, you haven't failed.
Right. There you go.
That's the bottom line. Well, I learned the definition of failure probably 50 years ago that I embraced, and I was in a church service, and I heard an evangelist preach on failing and the success that failure brings. And it was a different type of message. And when he gave this definition, Kevin, I embraced it. And when I was going through my bankruptcy and my foreclosure after many years of success, I kept quoting this to myself. And then there were times I said, yeah, but you don't believe it. You know how sometimes you tell yourself something, you really don't think you believe it. But I'm going to share this with our audience. This is the secret to success. This is really the secret to success. And it goes like this. If you want to succeed, all you have to do is fail. And then fail again, and then fail, and fail some more, and then fail again, and then fail again, and then fail some more, and keep on failing until success breaks through. Now, here's why. You're not a failure just because you have failed. You can only become a failure if you allow failing become the last chapter of the book you're writing. Now, let me read that last part again. You're not a failure because you have failed. You can only become a failure if you allow failing to become the last chapter of the book you've written. So, Kevin Sparks, have you written the last chapter of your book yet?
No, absolutely not. And what both of you are talking about, I bring this up a lot of times when we're together with our community, when we're meeting new people. And what I tell them is this, hey, look, some of us in our life are better at following through on our commitments than others. We've all broken commitments. We've all said we were going to do something, and we didn't do it. How many diets have we been on? Whatever it is, right?
Right.
But what I tell people is I said, here's the cool thing. You probably found us. In your case, they will have met you through this radio show, right? So chances are you haven't physically met them in person until the time they come to your forum, which I really hope they do go to the business forum with you guys. But I tell people, look, whatever it is that you've done in the past does not matter at all to us. Your success or your failure does not matter to us because you have a chance to start over right now because we don't know you. So if you're the person who normally doesn't take action and follow through and you've been down on yourself and everything, we don't know that. So you now can choose to be the person you want to be, and you're put into an environment that actually nurtures that. And I like to think of us as an incubator system for real estate investors and entrepreneurs. If you incubate long enough, you will hatch as a real estate investor.
Oh, there you go, little hatchlings, little real estate investor come. Now, it's a good way to say it, too. And I know that one of the Bob Snyder, the CEO and founder of Renatus, one of his key heart desires is not just to teach real estate investing, but to create real estate investors.
Yeah.
And that's a big difference. That's night and day. I mean, it's one thing to go flip a house every once in a while. It's another thing to become proficient with real estate investing and build a portfolio that cash flows you and your family and sustains you. And that's really what we're driving at.
Well, and, we're not here just to get people involved in something. We're here to help people change their lives. That's the bottom line. Kevin, you've been with Renatus now for almost 4 years. I've been with Renatus 8 years. How would you describe the you mentioned earlier that Renatus is really a personal development course brilliantly disguised as a real estate investing education system. With the last few minutes remaining, how would you describe the life changes you see taking place in our team members' lives?
I'll take someone as a for instance. When we went ahead and started the Phoenix team, myself and John McCants, before Zach had actually moved into town, the second couple that came on board to the team, we painted the vision for them of what was possible, was Angie and Henrik. Now, Henrik had only moved here from Sweden like 2 years ago. All right. And Angie she'd only been involved in nonprofit her entire life. So you have nonprofit, and then you have somebody who hasn't even lived in our country. But they actually came on board with the team in November of 2015. They actually plugged in, and what I mean by is let's take this seriously and let's do this in March of 2016. I spoke with Angie last week and I said, what has happened, right? And so this might sound a little unbelievable to you guys, but their results, I wouldn't say the results isn't on that level of results aren't typical, because it didn't all happen at once.
Well, yeah,
but
it takes time.
They've completed 59 transactions in that period of time from March of 2016 until last week.
That's 3 years.
3 years. Some of them paid more than others.
Sure.
Every one of them had some form of profit attached to it. But these are people that came to our country, didn't understand real estate investing in America, and a nonprofit person who'd never really had to go make a profit at anything, and now they're entrepreneurs and investors.
Yeah, they're living the American dream.
Absolutely.
That's because they've got the educational system that Renatus provides.
Absolutely.
And have you fellows ever noticed you never hear about the Filipino dream? You never hear about the Venezuelan dream. You don't hear about the Italian dream. It's always the American dream. We are so blessed to be in this nation, but we're so blessed to be in the Renatus community, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Sparks is our special guest. And, hey, Kevin and I are hosting another Investor Business Forum this week. What is the Investor Business Forum? Well, it's an hour-and-a-half event, an hour and 45 minutes. It's not a boring business meeting, I'll tell you that. You're going to meet a lot of wonderful people. You're going to learn about real estate investing as it is in Arizona today. And you're going to learn about the Renatus education system. You're going to learn how you can change your life. I'm extending you an invitation to be my personal guest. If you would like to make that happen, you're going to have to call me. I'm going to give you my phone number right now. Get ready to write it down. It's 602-315-0844. That's 602-730-5645. I gave my cell phone out. Let me give that to you one more time. 602-730-5645. Or, hey, visit us on the web. It's Wealth Empowers. That's WEALTH, Empowers, EMPOWERS, wealthempowers.com. Kevin Sparks, thank you so much for being our guest and giving of yourself today. Do you have, we got a minute or two left, any last word of wisdom you'd like to say to our audience?
You know what? I'd actually like to just share appreciation for your example. I don't know how many of your audience are aware of this. You didn't talk about it today, but you probably have in the past. But you've dealt with some health issues, okay? Definitely quite a few of them in the last couple of years. Yeah. And you have still received, as a result of being an entrepreneur, real estate investor, thanks to Renatus, a six-figure income the entire time you were in bed.
You know, you're right. I appreciate you bringing that out, Kevin. Isn't that exciting?
That's amazing.
I mean, I'm 74 years old and probably work 10 or 12 hours a week out of my home. How many people have that privilege and joy? So thank you so much, Kevin. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard me say it many times, change when left to chance is going to give birth to more conflict. You can't help but to do that. Well, if you don't change, things are never going to change. And I'm going to tell you something. One thing that will never change is the fact that things will change. So what's the bottom line? Either you make the change or the change is going to make you. How are you going to make the change? Well, it's real simple. Stop being a circumstantial creator and become an intentional creator. Stop letting everybody else tell you what you need to do. Stop letting your circumstances predict what you're going to have to do, and decide what you want to create for yourself. That's the bottom line. Success is not a destination. It's nothing more than a journey. Are you enjoying the journey, or are you just, enduring the journey? You answer that for yourself. Did you know you can succeed? God's not giving anything more to anyone else than he's given to you. And all that's given to anyone is given to you. Now listen very carefully. Success is never final, and failure is never fatal. Nobody's ever died from failing. Okay, maybe you've died from heart failure, but you've not died. No one's going to ever die because they had a failing experience in life. And investment in knowledge will pay you the best return on investment. You are full of the power of success. Now, why do I say this with such strong conviction? Well, it's real simple. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. I'm Dr. G, and I want you to create success. God bless. Have a great day.
It's been said, the best way to predict your future is to create it. No matter your circumstances, there is a solution to your situation. Dr. G and Kevin invite you to explore the possibilities of creating a new financial platform that you control and no longer allow yourself to be controlled by the circumstances of your life. Visit them at wealthempowers.com. That's WealthEmpowers.com. Come and meet Dr. G and Kevin at the Investor Business Forum. Oh, one last thought. Isn't it time for you to stop making a living and start making a life? Call Dr. G and Kevin at 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645.